Hey everybody, welcome back to the Behaviour Revolution. And wow, hasn't Yahushua been dealing with his bride this year? It all started at the feasts, the time of tabernacles, when we went through the experience of the feasts and we went through the trumpet blasts and the Day of Atonement, what he wants us to do with our flesh. And then we came into the tabernacles, fully understanding that and how we're supposed to move on to maturity. It's all a real and living experience, a supernatural reality in our lives. And from there, Yahusha's been talking to us about who he really is, about how Yahuah's not there anymore. It's Yahusha. Yahusha is the new living Elohim, and that's who we worship. That's who is in heaven right now, who's getting ready to return to this earth. Just him alone, no one else. So this whole Yahuah only movement doctrine that's in the world is completely wicked. I want to take you through a couple of short articles right now, and it's all about having a real supernatural experience, because I think if you've been anything like we have, you know all this stuff in your head, but are you applying it to your life? Are you looking through your eyes at every situation that happens to you in this life, looking for Yahushua in every situation? Because if you're not, if you're just settling for the fact that things go wrong, things shouldn't be going wrong. When you're in Yahushua, things don't go wrong. Yahusha's getting your attention. That's what happens. We're going to go into that. Let's have a look here. We've got this hideous viper serpent creature here. What's this all about? Look who Yisrael really is. Look who Yisrael really is. Why on earth would you want to be part of Yisrael? Yisrael, Israel, Yasharal, call it whatever the hell you want. They're all divorced anyway. Why on earth would you want to be a part of Yisrael when Yahuah dumped her and cast her out? Yes, he did. She profaned the temple and Yahuah's name by mixing sluttish, idolatrous behavior with his words. Yes, she did. Even though cast out, she came back to Israel, claimed herself an empress, and created the Yahuah only doctrine and her own bloodline. The bloodline of the chosen people is the bane of the earth, which causes the class distinction between all the nations. And they cry out anti-Semitism, and they cry out persecution, and they cry out this and cry out that. Have a bloody good look at why you've been persecuted, wiped out, hated by the rest of the world. Because it's prophesied, even back in Solomon's day. These people will be an example of the filth and scum of the earth now, because they have betrayed me. Yahuah said that right back then. Instead of them being the example of what they're supposed to be in the earth, now I'll make them an example of what not to be. And hasn't it played out like that? And yet they're still crying, no, we're the chosen people. Rubbish. They're the bane of the earth. And remember, we're dealing with spirits here. We're dealing with idolatrous, wicked, satanic spirits, spirits in high places, principalities. We're not dealing with individual people here or there. We're dealing with movements. But we're not dealing with individual people, so we're not Jew bashing or anything like that. We're talking about what happened in history and what these people did. So they're the bane of the earth. Still, she vehemently pushed this discriminatory behavior, keeping everybody ignorant of who Yahushua really is with his new bride. Yisrael looks beautiful, but when you get up close, she is a slimy, old, ugly buzzard. Yes. And that slimy, old, ugly buzzardry is seeping into the Messianic Nazarene realm as well, because they're all taking on. They're all her daughters. You all love talking about the Catholic daughters. What about the Jewish daughters? Yeah? They want your life in her hand to crush it, so you don't find Yahushua. Just like they did when he was walking around. They couldn't stand that he was living a new, fresh behavior, taking all the words that he'd spoken before in the older scriptures and living it in a new way. And they didn't know what to do with it. Got to kill this guy. Yisrael hates the bride, and like a sneaky, slimy old serpent that she is, has infiltrated the groups, those online Facebook groups, Twitter groups, all those groups. They refuse to join supernatural assemblies. They won't join supernatural assemblies where the presence of Yahushua dwells. Yes, he does. I can vouch for it. I've been in assemblies and I've been out of assemblies. I've been in Facebook groups, Twitter groups, and I've been out of them. I can tell you the difference. Yisrael, she is unrepentant even today and demands herself to be called the Empress of Yisrael. Her aim is to destroy all belief in Yahusha as Elohim. Are you being one of her emissaries to deliver such a message? No, I don't want any part of her filth. Do you? Better check where your information's coming from. I'm about to tell you where our information's coming from. This knowledge came to me, this is Christopher's article, this knowledge came to me from the Spirit of Yahusha. Do you believe that? That's what I've had to come to. What I hear in my head, what I hear Yahusha's hearing, what I hear the bride. What you got to make up your mind. Is this Yahusha? Is this the voice? Is this the ramblings and ravings of an old madman? What is this? Is this Yahusha's voice talking? This is what you got to make up your mind about. Because if it is Yahusha, well, then you're in trouble because you might actually have to do something about it. This knowledge came to Christopher from the Spirit of Yahusha. I looked in Google Images for an ancient goddess buzzard and found this picture below of a combination snake and buzzard goddess. My eyes nearly popped out of my head and revealed to me the hidden idolatry reigning in Israel is true. And that's what he found there. So, this came from being in the supernatural presence in Yahusha. As we are evangelizing Australia on our tour with our new book on family life called Demons Are Real, which you can download for free online if you want to read it. Truly, Yahusha is with us. We want to please him in everything we do and are overwhelmed with the reactions of people in groups, these groups, with no accountability to any supernatural assembly. And they're speaking to us harshly with the Spirit of Yisrael. The same wicked, satanic, ugly buzzardry. Disgusting. What does it mean to be no accountability to any supernatural assembly? It means people pulling you up on things, people asking you about things, good or bad, having a real relationship. It's like trying to chat to people about marriage if you've never been married. Oh, you can tell people what the scriptures are on it, and you can memorize things left, right, and center and learn all the philosophies, but you don't know the deep, dark experience, the highs and lows of being in a marriage relationship. It's like in this experience here. People are online, oh yes, the scripture says this and the scripture says that, and in John 10, and they're quoting this and they're quoting that, not having a real experience with other people. They might be having it with their husband or wife or what have you, but to be in another realm, a supernatural realm, where you might actually have to put yourself off and put up with someone else for a couple of hours, or invite them into your home and have a meal with them, or this or that, or dealing with children, dealing with adults, dealing, contributing, cooking, playing an instrument, whatever your gifts entail, a supernatural presence. And of course you do it because you get totally zapped by Yahusha's power. This would be like back in the days of Solomon's temple, seeing that fire come down on the altar, and people over in the old priests' ward over there on their little online thing going, no, that's not real over there. We're having this. We're having this here. Or we're having... They're not having the same experience, are they? They're not having that supernatural experience. You don't have that unless you come together in full anointing power. That's the truth. Whether you like it or not. You can poo-poo it if you, oh no, I've got his spirit, it's the same thing. And it's not the same thing. It's wonderful, all to you, but it's not the same as being in an anointed group. Totally different experience. So if you don't want to come into that experience, you are missing out on the blessings, on the truth, on the relationships, everything. It's not church. Not going back into religion. It's not church. We're not modeling it off church. It's nothing to do with church. So put all that crap out of your mind. Nothing to do with church. Modeling it on the book of Acts. They gathered together from house to house, excited. Yeah? For the purpose of encouragement. Don't you like being encouraged? What's wrong with you? We want to please him in everything we do. Yes, they do. I've been watching them. They want to please, Chris and Victoria want to please Yahusha in everything they do, and are overwhelmed with the reaction of the people in the group, speaking harshly with the spirit of Israel. This proves the words Yahusha gave us are true. It's not stopping us. It's proving it true. On the other hand, there are many others enjoying and agreeing with what we are saying through the spirit of Yahusha. Lots of love from us. Check in the word as you follow what Yahuah did to get out of Israel bondage. He dumped his name. He dumped that wicked old bitch Israel. If you'd put up with a wicked old bitch like that for 4,000 years, you would have kicked her to the curb as well. He's fed up with that wicked old bitch, and she is a wicked old bitch face. Dog face bitch. That's what she is. And she's still behaving it in the world with their stupid hats and seats and doing this and running the whole globe from behind the shadows. Disgusting bitch. That's what she is. And you want to listen to what they say? Well, then I guess you're a bitch too. Not me. No thanks. Wow. He told us to follow him. Remember, it's all in the supernatural. Supernatural. Fancy word for spiritual. You can't see it. Yeah? It's divine. It's heavenly. It's spiritual. It's supernatural. Miraculous. All these words that you can't see. That's why you need belief to believe it. How do you know you're believing in the right thing? Well, you can't produce good fruit from a bad tree, can you? All those scriptures. You know it by what's happening inside you. And I'm going to speak to you about that in a second as we go into this next article. So everything Yahusha did was supernatural. To follow him is a supernatural journey, not of this world. Doctrines of men are a gravity to the spiritual belief and have no part of it. People are gravitating towards the opinions of men because they're not having a supernatural experience themselves. They have to gravitate to something they can see. Don't need it. Don't need it. That's what Israel's problem was. Israel, all through history, couldn't come into the supernatural experience, even though he had physical bloody symbols, fire and lightning and everything going on, plagues and firstborns dying, and you name it, water pouring out of rocks and quails and manna, and that's not good. We have to rely on a supernatural experience in the invisible and see him in our lives. We didn't have all the stuff they had back then. And they still played the whore. Be wise. Follow Yahusha's journey through the feasts of our redemption to become part of his new created family. It's a new created family. Everything Yahusha does is new. Don't listen to the carpetbaggers who refuse to accept the word new. It's new. Everything's new. Yeah? Not renewed. New. Everything is new and fresh and divine and amazingly, overwhelmingly spectacular from Yahusha. Let's go a little bit more into this Egyptian mythology. Where is she there? Egyptian mythology. We're going to look at Wadjet. Wadjet? Who's Wadjet? We have been having quite an experience with Yahusha in his supernatural presence as we journey around Australia evangelizing our book, Demons Are Real. We never really knew how possessive of our time Yahusha actually is. This is where I want the rubber to hit the road for you and see, through Christopher and Victoria's experience, are you having this experience? We never really knew how possessive of our time Yahusha actually is. We just recently arrived in Perth. We spent 2 weeks there. We had 3 sections of our van that needed professional handling. We had 3 different appointments, 3 different days. In between appointments, we had our plans. Shopping, laundry, a day for the car detailing, professional cleaning inside and out. Very cold here, so we're planning to buy some new coats, some clothes, jumpers and trackies. So, tracksuits. So, they got things to do, as we all do. Every time we wanted to do one of our plans, tell me one of those things that's wrong. And, wrong. Tell me one of those plans that's wrong. Nothing wrong with those plans, is there? Day-to-day stuff that we got to do. But every time we wanted to do one of our plans, if we had not completed the task Yahusha wanted done, if we have not completed the task that Yahusha wants done. How do you know? He tells you. If we hadn't completed it, he made sure nothing we did would work. And here is the realm that most believers live in. Nothing is working. It was so frustrating and exhausting till we realized what he wanted. He doesn't always just bellow it through the loudspeaker of our head. He wants us to find him and hear him. Tune out all the rubbish and things we want to listen to and listen to his voice, the still small voice. It was frustrating and exhausting till we realized what he wanted. It must be done first. All those recent articles came out of this experience. All those articles that were written last week about Yahuah metamorphing into Yahusha. That's not just an old guy trying to cause trouble, as you all accuse him of. You think I can't hear Satan too? You think I can't hear Satan? Oh, you think I can't hear Satan? If I listen to this, I have a Sabbath last week like I had, where I couldn't even get off the bed because I was angry at my wife, angry at my business, angry at my children, angry at my life, angry at this, angry at that, angry at Yahusha ultimately. And he had his boot, metaphoric, boot pressed on top of my head, and I spent most of the day in bed. Until you face what he wants you to face, that is the vice on your head. You belong to him. You are a love slave of his. You don't have any rights to say what you think you should say. You don't have any rights to pawn him off. I'll deal with you tomorrow, Yahushua. I've got things to do. He comes preeminently above everything in our lives, including the thoughts. If you have one thing against husband, wife, elders, Christopher, Victoria, in our case, anybody in the body of Yahusha, if you have one thing against them, no one can hear your thoughts, can they? Yahusha can, though. And he's flogging the crap out of his bride, whipping and chastising and rebuking and making things not go right, giving her frustration and exhaustion. Even Paul said that. Why do you think people are dying and sick among you? They won't even face who Yahusha is, not discerning the body and the blood. Well, who's the body and the blood? It's Yahusha. Who is he? He was Yahuah. He metamorphed. He transformed into Yahusha. But they wouldn't have it. They're still doing their religious rubbish like people are doing online in their groups. Why the hell do you think people are sick and dying among you? Oh, that's just life. We live in the 21st century. That's normal. It's not normal. It's not normal. You don't have any sickness, disease, anything in Yahusha. Shouldn't. So if you're getting things, I have a huge rash all over my body from spending too much time in the sun, and doing what I want to do. All the things I've done in my life, it's culminating. Yahusha's showing me, giving me a bit of a skin infection. What does the scripture say about skin infections? Yeah. See, I have to face a lot of things in my life too, just like you do. But if you don't face them and change, yes, I belong to you. My body is yours. My time is yours. Yeah, we all have routines every day, but when he says to move, you do it. You drop tools and you do what he asks you to do. Whether it be a word, a message, speak to somebody, a song, whatever he's getting you to do, go and pick that up. Go and clean that up. Go and speak to this person. Go and speak out. Shut up. Do this, do that. He wants the attention of his bride. This is really serious. He wants to come back. He's had it with this world. Just like he's dumped his old bride, that filthy bitch Yisrael. He's ready to consume and crackle up this whole world. His bride is holding him up. All those recent articles, the amazing understandings we've had the last few weeks, came out of this experience. This experience that they've been going through, Yahusha getting their attention on the road. I was sitting there, listen, get this, all right? And then check your opinion about what you really think goes on behind these articles. I was sitting there, Christopher, was sitting there listening to Yahusha, because we can hear his voice. My sheep hear my voice. I was listening to Yahusha, dictating as Victoria typed what Yahusha wanted to say. We now know when he wants our time, we have to drop everything we want to do and focus on what he is telling us, or else. Are you having problems in your life? Relationship problems, marriage problems, children problems, physical problems, ailments, sicknesses, diseases? Or else. Yahusha uses everything. That's why you've got to look at your life and find Yahusha in your life. Stop focusing on the stupid agricultural shadows for that stupid bitch of a bride and focus on your life, because you're the new bride. If you've been immersed in Yahusha, you're the one he wants to work through. He wants your attention all day, every day, when you're driving, when you're at work, when you're with the children, when you're with the wife, the husband. He wants your attention all day, every day. And he's getting it. If you're clued in, this is what we are going through. See what they're going through? Then Mark produces the videos or articles or preaches some of the articles as well as what Yahusha has for him. Then we see what people in groups accuse us of. So we have a process here. And then we see what people in groups accuse us of. And the names they call us. And we see what a hold Israel's Yahuah only doctrine has on so many. Yeah? Some of them say Hashem or Adonai or Yahweh. Well, that just shows you they've got no understanding. But even those who declare Yahuah, which is the true name of the Father, Yahuah, they're still preaching Yahuah only. It's a big mindset. And they've got it all ass up back to front. Finally, in the end, when we come to Yahusha, we'll acknowledge that he is Yahuah. No, he's not. Never will be. It's the other way around. Yahuah became Yahusha for deliverance. Got it? Ass up, back to front. This doctrine has got them so many. Well, you know our process now of how we receive from Yahusha. And we know your reactions to his words. We're definitely seeing your reactions to his words. We know it's not us saying this stuff. But boy, what a reaction you haters are having. We know these are not our words. We know if we try and add stuff. I've tried to add things to Christopher's articles. Victoria's tried to add things to Christopher's articles. This, that. Christopher will say, that's not what I heard. Even when I'm doing stuff myself and the sermons and stuff. No, that's not what I want, he says. That's how you've worked it out in your apparent intellectualism. That's not how I want to say it. That's not how I want to say it. He's getting the message through how he wants to say things and do things to his bride. Yeah? He wants the real thing. He's trying to reach the sinners. He's not interested in reaching those who think they're righteous and good and the intellectuals, the uppity, higher, mightier than thou, holier than thou. He's not interested. He's interested in the sick, the lonely, the broken, the tax collectors, the prostitutes, those who really need him. And so the scriptures the message has to be easy so that I can understand the message. And that's the way he wants to deliver the message today. He's going to use the base things of the earth, the simpletons, the unintellectual ones to confound the wise. He's going to use you and I. Yahusha told me to look up this vulture snake goddess of Israel's. He also said that it is only one of the many deities Israel mixed with her worship of Yahuah. Remember in the temple in Zechariah, I think it is, the pantheon of deities, the Mazaroth that was going on. Israel adopted them all in there. Why do you think happened to Solomon what happened? And the nation fractured after he died. He honored Solomon's life purely because of David, but after Solomon was gone, all bets are off. He started booting her out big time. He'd had enough. The whole scenario is complete abomination, and that is why he dumped Yisrael and cast her out. Divorced her and dumped his name. From this point on, he has had nothing to do with her. From that point on, he has had nothing to do with her. Nothing to do with her when Yahusha came along. Nothing to do with her. It happened to be the cultural backdrop that he walked into. He hasn't been there since he left Solomon's temple. Hasn't been there. Nothing to do with her. So what's she been doing for the last 2,000 years? Declaring this and declaring that. She's behind every monstrosity that's happened in the world. He said she is now worse than she has ever been and needs to be destroyed. She is not an empress, but a wicked whore. And that's the mindset that's filtering into the Messianics and the Nazarene. That's the mindset that's filtering in. Coming back to Yisrael. Yisrael's going to be looking for the lost tribes of Israel. Oh, get stuffed, lost tribes. Please. Yahushua gathers who he wants when he's ready. He'll call us all to himself when he's ready. The bride is all scattered across the world. We don't have to find people. For goodness sake. This whole older brother, Yahuah only doctrine, it's all madness. Let's read what this goddess was. 𝑤𝑨𝑗𝑗, 𝑤𝑗𝑗, 𝑤𝑗𝑗, 𝑦𝑑𝑜, 𝑦𝑗𝑗, 𝑒𝑗𝑗, 𝑏𝙀𝑜 was one of the oldest Egyptian goddesses. Her worship was already established by the pre-dynastic period, but did change somewhat as time progressed. She began as the local goddess of 𝑝𝑒𝑟-𝑤𝑗𝑗, 𝑏𝙀𝑜, but soon became a patron goddess of Lower Egypt. By the end of the pre-dynastic period, she was considered to be the personification of Lower Egypt, rather than a distinct goddess, and almost always appeared with her sister Nekhbet, who represented Upper Egypt. The two combined represented the country as a whole and were represented in the Nepti on the pharaoh's names, also known as the two ladies, which indicated that the king ruled over both parts of Egypt. The earliest recovered example of the Nepti name is from the reign of Anebjib of the First Dynasty. In the pyramid text, it is suggested that she created the first papyrus plant and primordial swamp. She certainly did. Primordial swamp. Israel's still living in a primordial swamp, reading her papyrus madness. Her link to the papyrus is strengthened by the fact that her name was written using the glyph of the papyrus plant, and the same plant was the heraldic plant of Lower Egypt. According to another myth, 𝑤𝑨𝑗𝑗 was the daughter of Atum, or later Ra, who was sent to her as his eye to find Nephthah, moisture, and Shu, air, when they were lost in the waters of Nun. He was so happy when they returned that he cried and created the first human beings from his tears. To reward his daughters, he placed her upon his head in the form of a cobra, so that she would always be close to him and could act as his protector. Very interesting, the nonsense Israel's taken on, isn't it? Egyptian mythology. And despite all that, Yahuah chose to call her out of Egypt and wash her mind clean with his word and the experiences and the 7-day cycle, and took her to the mountain and gave her a new marriage covenant, and she just spat on him at every chance she had. Cheated on him, whored with the nations, couldn't take her eyes off the world. She wanted to be like the world, and now she runs the world. The whole point of this video is to let you know that there's a supernatural experience for you to have in your sphere, in your home, in your neighborhood. He wants your attention. He wants to have this real experience with you, seeing you move in his spirit with what he tells you to do. Yeah, you got to get up, you got to do the dishes, you got to have breakfast, brush your teeth, go to work, do all those things. But in the middle of all this routine, because he likes our lives in order, in the middle of all this, he knows that he wants to move and work through us and talk through us. Yeah? Always have a word ready for someone who asks you what your great hope and deliverance is. Speak when he wants you to speak. Shut up when he wants you to shut up. Put your head down and work when he wants you to work. Do what he wants you to do. He is letting you know. I don't have to go through your life. I don't have to sift through your life and tell you what he wants you to do. He's telling you already. You have to do it. I have to do it. Yeah? I don't want another Sabbath like I had last week. No way. So I can't have any judgments against brothers, sisters, anybody in the body. Yeah, people who come across my Facebook feed with incredibly insane philosophies, yeah, I'll tell them to shove it up their ass and fine. I'd say it again if they're going to argue with me. But having a deep-seated hatred and judgment, Yahusha said, don't judge. If you judge, you will feel judged. With what you put out will come back on you straight away. You can't have anything. If you've got one thing in you against your spouse, against your children, against anybody in your life, especially in Yahusha, if you've got one thing in your heart about them, he's going to flog you. And now you've heard this, you can't unhear it. So I want you to come into this supernatural experience, because that's what we're going through here. He's getting our attention about everything. So those of you who won't come into this, understanding of who Yahusha really is, I think you're bloody mad. You're insane, because I know what he's putting us through to get this message. He's showing us the text, and he's showing us in between the lines, not adding words in between the lines, but showing us this is what it means. This is the true context. This is where it started. This is where it's finishing. This is what I did along the way. All the scriptures are valid and legit and supposed to be used for our teaching and uplifting and encouragement and rebuking, types and shadows and examples. But he transformed. He ditched his old bride. He ditched his old name. I am deliverance. Yahusha. I am your deliverance. That's who he became. He's still, I am your deliverance. He's seated on the throne in heaven right now, waiting to come back, pummeling this world with plagues and tornadoes and things that they call natural disasters and climate change rubbish. All the things they're going on with is Yahusha shaking. This whole globe is shaking like a drunken on its axis. What about the end of tabernacles? We've been putting this message out for a couple of weeks now. Nobody will face it. And what happened in Israel on the last day of their feast? Yahusha allowed it to be bombed. I believe that's supernatural. He's letting them know what he thinks. Oh, but what about the innocent children? There are no innocent children or innocent nations. If your nation worships idols, you are defiling the land, defiling the animals, defiling the nature, defiling the children. You're defiling all of it. And when you come into Yahusha's perfection, his set apartness, his radioactivity, is it prejudiced against age? No. That's what the answer is. How can there be a God if there's so much to the children and the children? Well, look at the parents and how they've raised them. He said, obey me and live, disobey me and die. So I've just laid out for you and explained to you in these articles, Christopher's explained to you what their process is. Here in the Behaviour Revolution, we only want to hear Yahusha's voice and put out good food. Feed my sheep, because they're starving, clearly. They're not getting any good food. They're getting old, weird, rehashed, old shadow junk. It needs to be brought into the reality of today. And you want to have an opinion about it? I'm explaining to you the process that Yahusha's putting all of us through, so we can't be, are we just listening to our own thoughts? Are we that bored or desperate for a project? Or is it Yahusha talking to us? Who are we to think that Yahusha might talk to us? Are we that arrogant? Well, you can be arrogant in Yahusha. You can boast about the things of Yahusha. So yes, we do believe it's Yahusha because we've stepped out of it and seen what's happened to us. Whether it be, our skin or our bodies cracking up, or whether it be our businesses going down, down. Everything. You saw what Christian Victoria said. Things don't work in their day. When you're in Yahusha, every day should work. If you are operating how he wants you to operate, everything should work. There is no chaos. So if there is, you're the problem, not him. He's getting your attention. So we're explaining to you the process that Yahusha's doing in the Behaviour Revolution, of which you are welcome to be a part of. It's not a branding. It's just what he did back when he walked the earth. It was a revolution in behaviour, taking all the older scriptures and behaving them in a revolutionary way. So you're welcome to be part of the Behaviour Revolution. There's no membership fee, no signing up, no anything. You don't even have to tell us who you are. We'd love to hear from you, but be a part of Yahusha's movement, the Behaviour Revolution. It's great because all the others out there are declaring. And how dare they? How dare they spit on our names and reputations when we're having a supernatural experience? Clearly by what they're saying, they're not. They're just rehashing old rubbish. So, come into the truth, brothers and sisters. That's long enough. Get out of all the wickedness. Come into a real living experience with Yahusha, watching him move all day, every day. He speaks to you all day, every day. Love you guys. Stay strong. Go for it.
Not a soul out there, no one to hear my prayer.